Hello everyone. It's been a while since we have featured a chaotic natural disaster. We do realise that it's an attractive topic that you're all interested in. So today, I hope you enjoy this end of the world like what if situation. This time, for a change, instead of the Earth, Moon or Sun, we'll be talking about Jupiter. Welcome to our channel. Imagine what would happen if it collided with this solar system's second largest and heaviest planet. Oh, I'm talking about Jupiter, not our channel of course. Interested yet? Well, let's begin. Planets colliding with each other? Collision between planets is probably not an uncommon event in our galaxy. In fact, this occurs regularly in young stellar systems which are made of disorganized, various-sized planets. At least for Earth and Mars, there is scientific evidence that they survived their childhood during such catastrophic natural events. However, humanity has yet to observe a planetary collision in detail. That is because the solar system is too old and too stable to observe such phenomena. Even if a random planet decides to join our galaxy, it will probably only begin a long orbit far from the Sun. And for us to observe planetary collisions that occur in other stellar systems, the observational technologies that we currently have are still not advanced enough. You may be surprised, but it is not that easy to completely destroy a planet. According to the mathematical model developed by scientists, if two planets of the same scale collide with each other, unless the impact is head-on, at very high velocity, the majority of the planet will remain intact. But that does not mean that if the two giant planets, Jupiter and Saturn, collide, it won't be unnoticed. Rather, it is the exact opposite. Dependent on how Jupiter and Saturn collide, the results will be completely different. Let's look at some potential possibilities. We'll discuss a few scenarios: a collision at an angle just tangent to the celestial body, a head-on collision from a higher angle, and last but not least, whether the velocity of the crash is small or large. Saturn getting mugged. One day, out of nowhere, evil aliens came and for some reason poked Saturn out of its orbit, so Saturn started moving towards Jupiter. Or maybe the other way round. Either way, that's not important. Now, what will happen? In this most boring first scenario, the two giant gas planets will only pass each other at a close range or maybe tangential for a moment, and they will briefly touch each other's tremendous atmospheres. In this case, both will survive. However, it'll look quite different. When Saturn approaches Jupiter, the atmosphere and the ocean will be violently affected because of the increased gravitational interaction. Some of the material in the atmosphere of Saturn will be absorbed by Jupiter and vice versa. However, because Jupiter is much more massive than Saturn and has much stronger gravity, technically, Jupiter will be in better shape than Saturn after the collision. This disturbance pulls a large amount of atmosphere away from Saturn and transfers it to Jupiter. If we're able to view it, the gas is transferred from the weaker to the stronger gas planet, and it will look like the hem of a beautiful dress. The famous ring of Saturn, that we all know, will certainly be absorbed. Saturn's rings are made up of chunks of snow, which will be distributed in their orbit by Jupiter's gravitational pull, and will surely fall on either of the planets. It'll be the heaviest snowfall in the history of our solar system. The same fate befalls the satellites of Jupiter and Saturn. If objects clash with their own planet, it may change the main planet. Eventually, Saturn will lose a significant portion of its mass and will not be able to retain the furthest satellite planets. Then the satellite planets will go for a free walk in space and eventually orbit around the Sun. Two planets into one. When two satellites collide head-on or collide at a small but slow impact angle, a very flashy and beautiful phenomenon will occur. It's a result of two giant gas planets merging. The way it begins is the same as in the first scenario. There will be massive storms all over both planets, throwing a portion of the atmosphere into outer space. The satellites of the giant gas planet will also lose their minds, changing its orbits and either crashing into the respective planets or it will wander away. Then, when the distance between the two planets is at its closest, Jupiter will start to absorb Saturn's atmosphere. The closer Saturn gets to Jupiter, the stronger Jupiter will attract Saturn. And then, lastly, a completely emaciated sixth planet will crash into Jupiter's ocean. When that happens, tremendous energy is released. Jupiter will be covered in flames and shine so bright that it can be seen from Earth. Gusts of wind will blow across the entire surface of the giant gas planet, creating tsunamis hundreds of kilometers high. The matters will all mix and end up combining. In no time, Jupiter will lose those famous stripes we are used to seeing and instead become a dull red star. Then, the grand finale of this wreck is the collision of Saturn's core with Jupiter's core in Jupiter's interior. The two spheres, much heavier and larger than the Earth, merge to become one. Once the nucleus merge, we can confirm that Saturn has completely disappeared from the galaxy. Saturn will be part of Jupiter, about 33% more massive than initially, and Jupiter will alter its chemical composition. Then over the next few thousand years, the storm will gradually quiet down, cooling Jupiter. And then in a few million more years, there won't be any direct signs left to show that a planet called Saturn once existed, and that Jupiter absorbed it. Goodbye to the giant gas planet. So now, what happens if Saturn collides at a rather high speed, and from a sharp angle? In that case, it won't be easy to blow by Jupiter. We will be witnessing an incredible cosmic catastrophe. Perhaps the only thing more chaotic than that is a supernova explosion. If Saturn approaches Jupiter too fast, Jupiter will not be able to absorb as much material from Saturn's atmosphere. The two planets will collide as they exist today. This will trigger an intense combustion. The atmospheres of the two planets will burn, making the whole planet a sea of flames. The deeper Saturn falls into Jupiter's interior, the more combustion, which will spread the fire to the deeper layers of Jupiter. Sooner or later, just like the earlier scenario, a nuclear collision of the two planets will be unavoidable. However, a peaceful fusion is unlikely. Yes, of course, in the beginning the layers of Jupiter's atmosphere, and then Jupiter's oceans, will slow Saturn's core down a bit. However, in this case, Saturn is going insanely fast. The nucleus of Saturn will destroy the nucleus of Jupiter and will go in deeper. The energy produced by this collision will be so powerful that it will scatter bits and pieces of Jupiter into space. When observed from Earth, a star-like light will twinkle where Jupiter is supposed to be, but eventually, neither the light nor Jupiter itself will be visible. The bits and pieces of the atmosphere and the ocean of Jupiter will gradually spill out into space because of a lack of Jupiter's gravity, but this too eventually will disappear as time passes. The pieces of nuclei, which range in size from tiny asteroids to moon-sized and even some as large as Mars, will form a new asteroid belt for a short period. There will be astronomical objects moving chaotically, clashing and colliding with each other. There is a possibility that all objects in the solar system will get harmed from the debris of these collisions. Just like billions of years ago, when meteorites rained down and clashed Earth. So, this is it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. As time passes, a larger piece will find its solar orbit, and several new planets will be born in the solar system. But nothing among them can be compared to the original planet, either in size or mass. Please subscribe and like our channel. Also, don't forget to share this video on social networking sites. Thank you again for all your support. Time to say goodbye for now. See you again soon. Goodbye.